Can we formally
Yes.
open the meeting?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Could somebody please formally open the meeting?
Motion to
Thank
open.
you, Secretary Rachel.
I gotta write this down.
I know.
I second James's motion.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. Michael?
Yeah.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. So it's unanimous. Thank you, Rachel, for keeping us on track. I appreciate that. All right. So review of the minutes would be next on our agenda. And very comprehensive minutes. Thank you, Rachel. I just had a couple of things, but let's go around the circle to see if other people had put some suggested edits to the minutes. So this is the minutes from Monday, July 22nd. Very timely. Aisha, do you have any proposed edits to the minutes?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you, Aisha. James, any edits to the minutes?
I don't have them right in front of me. There was one typo on the second page, but I think it's in the first paragraph or two. That's all that I had.
Okay, and if it's just a typo, you could always just send Rachel an email about a pure typo. All right, and Michael, do you have any edits to the minutes?
Excuse me.
Yes,
I-
the top header, I think it said this was a hybrid meeting.
yes, it does say that.
Yeah, the boilerplate we always use, so I would just change that to it was a virtual meeting.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, I scribbled something down earlier. I did read them. The third page,
Doing a bunch of lists. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
third page near the bottom, you list a number of committees, commissions, et cetera. I would capitalize their names, the ones that are formal designations.
Where? I'm sorry. What section is
I
this?
think
in?
it's on the bottom of page 3.
For some reason, my thing doesn't. What section of it is? What section?
I don't know. I don't have it open in front of me. If you search the, just search Conservation
Oh, it's
Commission.
under page 4. Yes, it's under
4,
page
okay.
4. You list
Sorry.
people's names and their committees, and it's sort of like a separate block. It's pretty easy to find. Second half of page 4. It
Oh, you
starts
want
with
me
Mr.
to
Duran.
capitalize the committee names? Okay.
Yes, I think
Okay,
that's what
I do.
he was suggesting.
That's it.
That's okay. And if I'm the last person to give edits, I think it's actually on page 3. There's a word messages, and I think it means messengers. So that's in the section. Ms. Morella Suarez agreed with Dr. Gunn's characterization. And then you'll see the word messages later in that paragraph. I think it's can serve as messengers. And I think,
Yes. Messengers. Found it.
okay, so I think that are the only proposed edits. Does anybody want to make a motion with respect to the minutes?
I'm making a bunch of typographical things, and I kept mistyping Jeremy's name. Is this okay? Is this what's supposed to be in the minutes? I wasn't sure how much to summarize, how much to do back and forth.
From my perspective, and again, some things are like, I should say just of higher importance because they're like, actual deliberations on an actual vote. You might
Mhm.
want to be more detailed. So-and-so said this, whatever. It doesn't have to be a transcript. It's a
Mhm.
summary of the discussions, and it's a summary or a recording of a motion and a vote. And of course, a particular motion and how it's worded might be kind of important. But, the committee discussed how to go about doing such and such might be acceptable. People might have different feelings about that. And sometimes they might say, oh, I think it's important. Could you specifically put in that I know that I said such and such?
Mhm.
So your handwritten notes might be a little bit more detailed, but you might give that summary. I know when school committee minutes, I always like look for my name and made sure when they did write something down that it was really my position or what it was. Those are my feelings because it is a huge amount of work, and minutes are really a summary of what was discussed and what was deliberated and what the ultimate vote was. Again, people might feel strongly about a certain thing that they want referenced by their name. Those are my feelings.
Molly, James has his hand raised.
Hi, Rachel. Rachel, thank you.
Yes.
Rachel, the minutes were a really good report as to what happened there. They had a lot of detail. However, I don't think you need to have that much detail, just because there are there's certain memoranda on how to produce minutes. I'll try to put my hand on that for you.
That would be great.
Helpful, save you a lot of work.
Mhm.
These are closer to records of proceedings.
Yeah.
They
I realized as I was doing this that I hadn't quite understood what Jeremy and Francelis had been talking about until I watched the meeting over again. So I put in a lot of detail because that was how I was figuring out some of the things. So,
All right.
Right.
but I would love to see like
James.
what it's supposed to be, because the library trustees minutes are done in a completely different way, and there's
Okay.
much less to talk about.
Same with zoning
Right.
board, different too. The zoning board requires records of transcripts, but the other boards, they require just, basic general minutes. And for legal reasons, they have that certain format,
Hmm.
to protect everybody's
Absolutely.
interests. I'll try to get that memoranda for you. I'll send it
Thank
to you.
you.
All right, thanks, James. And Aisha, you said something briefly before James spoke. I'm sorry, I just didn't hear it. I don't know if it was something I was supposed to respond to or,
Oh, no, I was just trying to get your attention that James' hand was raised up.
Okay.
Thank you.
So does anyone want to make a motion
okay.
to?
Yeah, motion to accept the minute as amended.
Second,
All in favor, going around, starting with Aisha,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
James,
aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and I vote yes as well on review of minutes. Okay, next item is to get into the nitty gritty, and I'm so glad we're able to do it at this meeting and not further have to put off, because it's going to take some time and discussion. I had prepared and sent so people could review ahead of time, of course, some proposed recommendations. After I sent this, I did go back and review my minutes, and I think there's one thing that one or more people had mentioned that I did not get in my notes, or I did not get in this draft, and that was about bike lanes or bike paths.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so I thought if we want to add something, and I'm open to the wording, is I just came up with a potential recommendation that the town promote bike lanes and bike racks at all public, promote bike lanes and also promote bike racks at all public and commercial buildings. In other words, you need to have that bike rack too, or else your bike's going to get stolen when you go someplace. And sometimes there's a shortcoming there as well. And maybe there's a better way to say the words promote bike lanes, a more thorough way to say that. I don't know if James has any ideas.
They refer to those lanes as sharrows. That's the
So
name,
how do you,
bicycle lanes and roadways.
How do you spell that?
You're sharing the lane with a car. SHARROWS.
Oh, okay.
okay, new vocabulary.
And there's some more language that you could possibly think of using. Bicycle, should I say, excuse me, there are some buzzwords. I'm at a loss of words now, but I can provide you with those buzzwords though. That they use with regard to improving bicycle pedestrian accessibility and safety in communities. There are some terminology that I can share with you. I just don't happen to remember what it is right now. Give me a minute.
I just wrote that down, improving bicycle and pedestrian accessibility and safety. As a concept, we could consider, and I don't know if we want to sort of like vote on these as maybe let's try voting them on as a whole after we talk about each of them. And then maybe we'll see whether people want to move to pull things out or add them. But it sounds like there's some support for adding in, promoting, improving bicycle and pedestrian accessibility and safety. And I do think that's actually pretty well worded, James,
Mhm.
even if we tweak that. But I'm happy to start at the top. The first one is one which I think even I would recommend about joining Mass Energize. Put it on hold. It does have a cost. And I think that now that we are going to get rolling out with an MAPC process, let's see how that plays out and where it gets us. It might be that 2 years from now, somebody might say that we really should join Mass Energize to carry forward with the implementation. It's a bunch of, regionally people working together. But I think it's a little bit of maybe a little bit premature, even though Canton is joining now. And again, it does have a cost. So
What's the cost, Molly?
I had the email. It looked like it was, it looked like it was like at least $2,000 to $3,000, but then it sounded like, except that it's double for the first year. So,
It's real money.
It may have been, it's not $500.
Right.
So I would have hoped it would have been like that. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit higher, and let's see how the MAPC process plays out over the next year. It might be a great long-term thing to do to help us again continue with our work or continue with the mission, whether
sense
it's
to me.
our committee or somebody else. Yeah. So that simplifies it. If I had sort of just let's put that aside, but I definitely want to keep that in mind. And anybody's welcome to take a look at their website and get some ideas as to what other towns are doing. That was definitely a great resource. All right. The second one is the resolution. And again, I feel like we need to, once we have a vote on these, we need to ask to be on the select board agenda. First of all, update them about MAPC in the time frame, but also present the ones of these that we actually do vote upon and agree upon. Obviously, number 2 is just a generalized statement because, we're a year into this where we really aren't in a position to be terribly specific and say, go fix this building or go do this or whatever it is. But it's really about promoting and messaging in a way I think that can be hopefully not offensive to people, but, sort of putting options on the table, putting suggestions on the table for people in the town. And I will note that in DEEA grant application, I probably won't use the right words, but there was a reference to Stone being like a low adapter of, energy efficient measures. So whether that's the whole town or whether that's households or whatever it is, they're like, we're on the low end of the scale. So there's a lot of room for people to improve. So that's the idea behind this. Happy to, you've now had a chance to go over the wording, hopefully before tonight's meeting to talk about the wording or deletions or whatever you think, just as far as a resolution. And I always feel like it never hurts to ask if they want to change the wording, if they want to say whatever. I feel like, we're here to speak up for these issues. So I think it's a good ask, even if we want to change the wording around. All right. So I'll go in a circle again. Aisha, do you have any thoughts generally or about the wording or how this could be worded as far as a resolution? All right.
No, sorry. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't hear you at first. I think you were on mute.
Okay.
Your thoughts about a select board resolution or about the wording of the resolution or what you want to include or not include?
Well, I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. Rachel, thoughts about the resolution?
I would like, especially on the low adapter of energy efficient measures, what I would really like to do is to talk to the town manager about what are the upgrades that Stoughton has planned out to do in its roadmap and work with the town manager and work with whatever departments are available to find the most energy efficient adaptations. Since we're going to be doing these upgrades anyway, might as well do them as energy efficient, possibly getting some grants to help cover it. So we're going to be doing these upgrades anyway. So let's do it in this way. So I want to know what is on the map, essentially, what has been done. And I think the last time we talked about this, the map had not been updated since before the pandemic. So is there a way that we could make a meeting with Tom Coulter or whoever it would be in charge?
We could probably first start by talking to Kathy Stanley and then maybe follow up with a meeting with Tom Coulter.
Yeah, and I think we discussed with Paul Jafune or however you pronounce the name, about what DPW had done or had accomplished from the roadmap, and we never got back. We never heard back from them.
All right, so that roadmap from what was that LEAP document from like 2015 or so, or 2016? Is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
Okay,
So I think a lot of the climate action plan should be based around those roadmaps so that it's very much, this is what Snowden's doing. This is the way to be the most both cost efficient and energy efficient and climate efficient.
right. All right, but just sort of going to the general idea, which is obviously a general resolution. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure.
James, your thought about a resolution?
I agree
Select
with
board
the resolution. I think it's to the point. It tackles everything that is the most important aspects of the mission of our committee. And I think we should really get the selectmen's buy-in on this, because the town manager, although by charter is very powerful and more powerful in this town government than most towns, the selectmen, I think, should be the go-to group to get on board, so that the town manager will take his walking orders from them concerning the goals, recommendations of this committee, so that they will trickle down to the other department heads, and they will go from there. And then in the meantime, we can get the questions answered that Rachel have as to what the town has been doing. And they'll mention such things as that we've made breakthroughs with the municipal vulnerability action plan, and that we have charging stations at the new fire station, and there are plans for charging stations at the former railroad station. And there were plans to have charging stations behind the town hall too. Those are some other things that we can ask about. But I am in favor of this resolution in its form, and I think it's good.
And that sort of, goes with my feeling. I've sort of advocated for that with the Energy and Sustainability Committee as well. I was like, you guys need to step forward and make yourselves known, and you know what I mean? Like, show up before the select board, and one of the select board members says, that's great, but if you do that, you should have an ask. And this is kind of an ask that we have. It's an update of where we are, but it's also an ask. All right, so let me let Michael go and get his feelings.
I just actually dug it up again here. I've been looking for it. I'm rereading it.
Okay.
You're going through every point on there, right? All 9 of them?
Oh, for all the recommendations, yes. I mean, so this is the laundry list, and we're clearly adding the bikes. I think there's a lot of support for that, the way James articulated that. But yes, this is a set of recommendations, which is what the original article talked about doing within a year. Again, the resolution itself is just one piece of numerous recommendations.
Yeah, one change I would make. This may have come up before. Maybe it already was changed. Number 3 on there about the town warrant.
Yes, I think you said that's already an option, and I just didn't know that.
Yeah, there is. We could still say promote that, promote using it, because people may not be that aware of it. My concern was just with some of the phrasing where it says instead of paper booklet. I know what you're getting at, that they don't have to use the paper booklet, but it almost sounds there as though you're replacing it. I think that I would cut that and just leave while still providing paper copies as the default. Yeah.
Okay.
The difference here is that the option is there, but they're still mailing them to every single person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's kind of like,
yes.
it makes it easier if you just want to bring your laptop to meetings and just look at it on the laptop, but they're still doing the mailing. So that's kind of what I think that's what you want to get at, is address that part of it. Like something about, maybe you want to change that to read something like, I mean, I don't want to make it too wordy, but the idea being having people opt in advance to receive a hard copy, something along those lines, because that's really the next step. The option's there, but there's, you're still getting, the Bible delivered to you every May.
Okay, so you would want an affirmative opt-in to get a hard copy is what you're suggesting.
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want it to be too technical or too confusing, but that's kind of the gist of it because that really is the next step.
Okay. All right, I guess we're still no maybe we should just move to going through the whole list. I think we've heard from everybody their thoughts about the resolution, and I'm skipping out number 1 for now.
So when you
putting
think
it
of
aside,
resolution,
we're-
this whole thing is the resolution, right?
Mhm.
No, it's not. The resolution is number 2 with all the bullet points is whereas it's like a legal resolution. It's like whereas, now therefore, let it be resolved. The town is
Right.
dedicated to, so you see those bullet points, that's the resolution. The rest are just recommendations of other things.
Well, when
that
it
the
says let
town-
it be further resolved, that's kind of saying let there be a further resolution or add to that resolution. And then you have your list. So the whole
Oh,
thing
I
is
didn't mean to do
John-
it that way. I'll rearrange it.
I-
I'll
I-
rearrange it. I
also,
see it.
one other
Confusing.
question while I'm at it. Is there I see that's number, I see what you're saying, number 2, number 3.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
number 3 is really a subset of that. Well, it's really not. It just kind of hangs there, 3 through 7.
No, so I'm going to
Um,
rearrange the whole thing and put the resolution at the end. Does that work better if I say, here's some specific things we would recommend? It would be like 1 through 8 or whatever, including the bike thing, which would be number 9. Which is saying like the town should do this, I'm not asking, I guess I wasn't thinking of asking them to make all these things a resolution, but maybe that's a different way to do it. I guess the resolution that I did work on was about it's like a general outlook and plan and objective that we're going to reduce greenhouse gases and we're going to promote the message amongst everybody. That
Well,
was just
actually,
the end
yeah,
of my
you-
resolution.
You could just sort of break it into 2 things, like you sort of said, like, first of all, climate action plan committee proposed resolution, and then part 2, climate action plan committee specific interim recommendations. In other words, take that, your
I
first
get
heading
that.
up top. move
Yep,
that to
change the
second-
headings.
And just the first heading is the resolution where you get the fancy language, and then you get
Okay.
to the concrete stuff under interim record. You see, really just adding 1 line about the resolution up top, and then move the other
I
one.
just,
if
I
that
totally
makes sense.
I totally understand your
Okay.
point. Yes, thank you. And this is why we're talking it through so that, there's no point in me flailing around having people be confused at the select board
Yeah.
about how this works. I almost feel like subheadings or Roman numerals or something, maybe subheadings, so that we totally break it down and
Right.
segregate it out. So,
No, it looks really good, and it sounds, the first part is really well written. It's written perfectly. I mean, that is what a resolution sounds like. I just got concerned about how the other part fits in with, because it is
Okay.
it is 2 different things. There's a resolution and it is recommendations. And I like the idea of having it in 2 parts. They can vote on them
Okay.
in 2 parts. They can. The danger there is that they vote to endorse the resolution. Oh yeah, we're into clean energy, but then they don't vote to endorse they did a separate vote. Yeah, you might want to. They could.
I'm not even sure if I'm asking them to vote on all these things. It's more like I'd like them to vote on the resolution, but
Well,
it's
the
also more like
resolution
a
they would have to.
presentation.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
and but it's also like, we said we'd give them interim recommendations.
They
Here's
asked,
our interim recommendations.
like Lou Guido specifically asked for them and told us, like, if there's something comes up in the course of this, don't wait until the report. If there's something you should do.
Good, excellent. Yeah, yeah. Again, because, our whole message is urgency and no time to waste on pivoting to, cleaner, more sustainable ways of running the town. And, you can. Okay, so that's very helpful. Do you want to have the comments on the rest of these numbered ones here, and then we'll circle back around to everybody else on the committee? Does that make sense to see your feelings about the other ones?
Why don't we just go over each one?
Okay, all right, let's go over each one. All right, we're gonna go.
Yeah, I
to,
support that.
Okay, so Aisha, then I'll circle back to you. The anti-idling. is the number 4 here. And again, that's actually also been talked about with the sustainability committee. They kind of got stuck on the idea of like who's going to pay for the signs, but I'm going to push for them to do what they can on it. But basically, we want to say that, you know, that the town wants to enforce, and enforce doesn't mean riding around and intimidating people with big tickets. It's more like just a reminder, you know, of people, you know, saying that, you know, by the way, you're unnecessarily polluting the environment, and we're trying to, you know, pay attention to the anti-idling. So that's a thought about. So I don't know what your thoughts are about that. We'll start with Aisha and go around a circle for each proposal.
Yeah, so the initial idea was to like set it up as a good reminder to say, hey, this is something that you're doing and it has an adverse effect on your environment. We're not the police. We're just like trying to make sure that even those who are not aware are exposed or are brought into the limelight of what idling their vehicles is causing. So that's a very good to include in the report.
It sounds like you don't like the word enforce because you don't want the police involved.
I wouldn't use the word enforce because we're dealing with the general public.
Okay. So we would soften that then and not have the word enforce.
Administer. I'm just looking at a thesaurus.
Right.
So implement or administer.
Remember, we're just making recommendations here. This isn't
Yeah.
going to be an act that
Thank
they're
you. That's
actually
the
going to
word.
adopt.
So
I like the word
Okay.
administer.
Administer.
What does that mean?
I
It could,
Like
it's
administration.
general. It could mean,
What's that?
What about promote?
it could
What
mean,
about promote
educating public-
compliance with?
I'm
How do you do that? By enforcing it? I have no problem with enforcement. If you want to change it, you can. Like I said, I wouldn't get too. This is not going to be something
I'm
that they're going to be
thinking-
actually. This is not the act that they're going to be, you know, giving to the police department or something. It's just our recommendation. You know, they're going to look at it and say, yeah, enforce, not enforce. If anybody thinks that enforce is going to cause problems because we may have people show up at meetings who have concerns about them adopting this, then take it off, would be my suggestion. You don't want to rile anybody, you know, unnecessarily.
I think the word
Yeah.
administer is good because it also involves generating public awareness to folks. And we could be doing that with the help of the technical folks at town hall and or a multimedia campaign. It doesn't,
Exactly, messaging.
I mean, just
Okay, so
educating people about these measures and repeating ourselves so that they learn. They learn about it. That doesn't necessarily mean having them pay penalties, but it might come to it someday. Maybe not now.
someday. All right, so what if I change the wording to administer and promote compliance with? Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
That sounds right.
Okay, so let's move on to the EV vehicle first policy and move to install charging stations. That's obviously general, but it's also trying to get people to refocus from the automatic buying of non-EV vehicles for the town, which I think is just, I think they're behind the curve on this, and they could make a stride in the right direction. But let me start it again. Let's start with Aisha and her feeling about the EV policy.
The EV policy, it's a good step in the right direction, but are people going to say, we already have like a charging station. So why are they not working? So maybe not, we can rephrase the word so that way people would know that even though we have those charging stations, they are not actively working.
Are you talking about the ones at the high school or other ones?
Yes.
Well, it would be nice if the school committee would get those ones working.
Aren't they supposed to be
I
working
don't-
by now? Because we found the, didn't they approve it?
I
The thing
I
is,
haven't checked back. I know.
if people actually start, if we really start, both the town and residents, start buying EV, and I have my own questions about EV, but if people start buying them, you're going to need a lot more charging stations
Mhm.
than that row at the high school. You
Like,
know,
I-
this is town properties. You're going to need them all over town. A
I
lot
know
of them. In
that
fact, it's going to
did not-
dwarf what we have right now at the high school. So I'm fine with this.
I think we should build capacity, definitely, because I know when we looked for a new car, we did not go for an EV because we'd have to buy our own private charger, and that would have raised the cost too much. So the
Yep.
barrier to cost is that the town does not have the infrastructure yet. So I think that buying the infrastructure would certainly compel it. And the town has to take the lead there. And also there are probably subsidies or grants that we can use to find that. I kind of wonder if finding grants to promote these kinds of things, to do them at the least cost to the town, might actually be one of the recommendations that we do in the interim recommendation.
I think that's almost like inherent, and that's part of the Kathy Stanley role, that she's all
very-
over that. And having having MAPC, they're going to be all over that too.
I mean, it's
Finding-
inherent, but
finding
it
the
should
money.
be like still listed as part of it, I think. So that people realize we're not just saying like, you need to do all of these changes right now, but to do them in a cost-effective way.
And then also to add to Richard's point, it's more like a recommendations for the infrastructures to be in place versus, people having to say, hey, we can go ahead and buy this because we have this available. So the recommendations I feel should be more about the infrastructure to help boost people to buy the EV vehicle.
I mean, my feeling is that this is more focused on the town fleet and the town buying EVs, because it's a whole different picture of individual households buying EVs, and where would it be helpful and convenient, which includes frankly a whole lot of commercial properties and Stop and Shop and things like that. But I think this is sort of like the whole Governor Baker's executive order, leading by example, was all about the government does it first. So the government, leads by example. So this is the thought of like, having them pivot towards an EV fleet. And it's not to say it's not going to be done in 1 year. And obviously they also need to put in the charging at the municipal buildings to support that. I guess, so that's not really about the general population. And that's maybe step 2, quite frankly, with our whole climate action plan, working out with MAPC. Like, how can we make it how do you get strides so that you do make it easier for individual households to buy EVs? But I think this is supposed to be focused on municipal fleets.
So Molly, let me ask this question briefly. Even if the government or the municipal is supposed to pivot this or to lean towards buying EV fleets, they still have to have the infrastructures to be able to run those fleets.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes.
So
First,
the
they have to
interim
have the infrastructure.
the interim recommendation on them having the infrastructure first in place, I think it's the best recommendation that we should put in. That should
Okay.
totally in line. Yep, I think that's
I mean,
it.
what infrastructure are you talking about aside from charging stations?
Yeah, so we don't even have charging stations enough.
The electrical.
Right. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, when you say infrastructure, isn't that what you mean? Or the charging stations?
Yes, the charging stations, that's it. That's my first.
So it's kind of like the way it's written right now. Right?
Well, I agree that maybe we could say it, that the town, move to adopt or put in place, infrastructure and to allow for an electric vehicle first policy by, installing charging stations.
Well,
So flip it around, so you
redundant.
focus on the infrastructure.
Yeah.
I
But
know,
that
I'm
is the
sorry, the way I said it was
That's more
redundant.
of the preparation that's involved in interim recommendations. So I think that makes sense for interim recommendations for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna so I guess the thought would be we would refocus this on first on developing the, installing the charging stations, which is the infrastructure, to allow for electric vehicles and developing, an electric vehicle first policy. Is that the way we want to reward it?
Yes, the infrastructure is the electrical infrastructure. It's the electrical circuits on the poles and underground that support the charging stations.
Oh, okay. There you go.
The electrical infrastructure is, and the charging stations themselves are a component of the infrastructure, but there are ways to manipulate the electrical infrastructure, and or there should be ways to upgrade the electrical infrastructure to support more electro charging stations.
No, we should use that word.
Okay,
I just wanted to make that,
Yeah, that's helpful, actually.
okay. All right, the next one, if we're ready to move on, and this is just something very pragmatic and simple. And I asked actually if Mass Save could be tabling outside of town meeting, which went on for 7 or 8 days, endless days. And I was told, well, they could leave a brochure, but nobody can be there. That was Bob Mullen's decision. And again, this is not about dragging out town meeting or interrupting town meeting. It's just like somebody sitting, it is about the town sort of promoting that it's a nice idea for people to, and even people who have businesses, quite frankly, to get in touch with Mass Save about, energy audits. And then that sort of leads to upgrades to your house that leads to energy conservation.
they'll come to any event that they're asked to come to.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah, yep. Any thoughts about this? And again, it's just giving an option available to people who, whether it's town, well, I'm sure they'll come to Stoughton Day, and they probably were at Stoughton Day, but certainly town meeting, if there's some other town event of significance, maybe
You could just
like,
say town, you could just say town events. Town meeting being a town event, you've got town capitalized the second time. So I assume you mean
Okay.
events conducted under the auspices of the town. That way you're avoiding any kind
Okay.
of controversy. And when town meeting rolls around, if you want to make that one of the events they come to, you talk to Bob or whoever the possibly new moderator is, if there's a new one at some point.
okay,
And what, that way you just, you're not causing, you don't want this thing, this should be the sort of thing where basically everybody who's going to vote, you probably already know how the vote's going to fall out if they vote on it. They don't even have to vote on it, but the idea is they should be able to look at it and not get fired up about anything, And so if you take out town
doing my
meeting, that's
best
one
not
less
to fire
thing
people up. Okay.
for them not to get,
Don't just
not to
take
get
out
off
town
quickly
meeting.
about.
Okay, town events. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts about number 6 there about having Mass Save be invited to these town events? Okay. Number 7. This is a pretty simple one. And in many other towns that you may travel to, everywhere you see a town trash can or park, at a park or whatever, a town trash can, you see a recycling can. Many other states you travel to, many other countries you travel to. We don't have that here. So whether it's, I don't know if that counts like that. I was just literally thinking of the town ball field, but I don't know if that counts or that doesn't count. But in any event, if it's, a town event, town property, town buildings, we should have, and I understand they have them in the interior now, which is good. When we're talking, somebody's walking by downtown or the town hall or whatever it may be. And, thank you, there's a trash can, but where's the recycling can? Or at a town day or at a town, the July 4th event or whatever it is, also have that recycling bin. That's a pretty simple idea. Thoughts? Aisha, I'll just start with you.
Yeah, I accept. That's a good idea.
Oh, all right. Rachel,
It's basic. That's a good thing.
James.
I think it's a very good thing. I think it's good to say that we would advocate having recycling receptacles next to trash cans at town property, town buildings, town events, strongly advocate it, because there's always going to be opposition to that, because there's always folks that are going to just mess things up by throwing trash in recycling containers. So I think we just need to strongly continue to advocate it as long as we're a committee.
All righty, I agree. Michael?
Yeah, no problem with this one.
Okay, good. We had a simple one. All right, the next one. And actually, just so on that whole issue of composting and solid waste, I did go to an event that they had at the library. It was last Thursday. It was April, who now works on solid waste issues with DPW. And she was giving a presentation. Also, Missy from DEP was there and talking about, just answering your questions about recycling and solid waste. It was very helpful. She's obviously trying to move the town, April, in the right direction as much as possible. They're in conversations with Black Earth Compost, and I think they are kind of promoting it now. So that's great.
I saw something through DPW promoting it, but I haven't heard back from Black Earth even though I signed up. So
Okay, so I get, and I know the town already has like discount composting bins for your backyard. So I don't know, are we just repeating something that's already out there? It just seems to me I'm like obsessed with composting. It is like such a basic cost-free way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I'd love to see it promoted as much as possible. So that's my thought on that. I will go around. Aisha.
I have little to say about composting, but composting is good, but it's just that I really don't know a lot about it. So I just defer to other people to speak about it.
I'd be happy to do a little composting, educational event for people. Yeah, I think from time to time we do have things in town that are like, maybe even like at Stoughton Day, we should have like a composting table. Maybe I should talk with April about that. People drift by and spend, 5 minutes, you learn about it, and then you could be good to go. So I'm putting her name back at that. All right, Rachel, any ideas about or thoughts about number 8?
I think it's good. And I also think like if they're already doing that, that's great because then they can feel like, oh, well, this is easy to do. So it's kind of nice to have something that's easy that they're already on their way to accomplishing. So I vote for keeping it in.
James?
This is very good to recommend. Composting is an art. It's something that you initiate and you get better at with time. And the sky can be the limit to how well you can compost. You can start off with buying a town composter and then coming up with your own composting facility that you might put together, with chicken wire and or maybe pallets or just a box you might happen to even want to build. Composting improves with time. You get better at it. It's labor intensive, but it yields results that are rewarding. So I think we just need to keep this in here and just continue to bring folks in and educate folks, generate more public awareness about how to compost, what to do, where to have it in their yard, what to avoid, what not to do, and to come up with an efficient, productive composting operation in people's yards.
All right, we'll definitely want to add that to Stoughton Day so that there's a composting table so that people can stop by and talk it through. And once it's part of your life, it's not labor intensive. You mean, once every few days or once a week, you just throw it in. I have a bin in the back, you throw it in the back. And I'm not the perfect composter, but I still get compost. All right, Michael, thoughts about the compost one?
Fine as written.
Okay, and the last one, and this is something that just really boils me. It's that, we moved to Stoughton almost 20 years ago. Yes, 20 years ago this month. And Stoughton has always picked up recycling. Like, it's so simple. You get the bin, they pick it up. If you need, you can even use a huge trash bin and just put a recycling, bumper sticker on it and you're all good. The school is still not recycling, it's
Right.
just like, so I don't understand why it is. I sort of feel like they should have like a summit. There's 2 different parts of the town. Why is it that one part of the town has successfully been able to recycle? And I understand that, the recycling is even delivered at a closer spot now. It's not such a long drive, saving money on trash because people are recycling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, why aren't we sharing the expertise and the strategies of the town with the school system, which is really delivering a very bad message to the students that everything just gets thrown away and somehow it disappears and you don't need to worry about it. That's the wrong attitude to solid waste. So I'm that's just what did give rise to number 9. And Aisha, let your thoughts on this.
Again, we're just going to hold the part of recommending that the school would just tailor what the town is doing because it's a good practice. So that's all I have to say.
Right. And you're right. We obviously can't dictate to the schools, and there's that sort of line of separation, but it's sort of like, let's have an open door and maybe a mutual strategy or mutual arrangements could move the schools into being able to recycle effectively. Rachel?
I think I know that I went to a select board meeting recently where they said we need to have better we can't keep having the school being kind of like this separate area from the town government as a whole. We want to work together. So I think that this is good. I think that maybe we can, instead of townwide strategy, I think maybe just sort of acknowledging the school a little bit more to have like a comprehensive plan. Maybe instead of townwide strategy.
I love that wording, comprehensive plan.
Because that way it doesn't
Okay.
seem like we're saying like school has to bend to the town. I know that
Very good.
the individual people at the school are all very interested in recycling. The kids are coming home with messages about recycling. I can vouch for my elementary school kids.
Okay.
So there
Good.
is interest and there is desire. I just don't know what the actual plan is. So
Okay. All right. That's a great suggestion. I appreciate that. James, thoughts on number 9?
Yes, I agree with this. And I think to insert the word planning is crucial also. We have to incorporate strategies like this in the master plan, for instance. All of these recommendations, we need to embrace that and just be mindful that with regard to the planning of this community, that the planning is done and the formulation of new regulations incorporate these bullets, so that they'll be in effect.
I think the other thing is we should strongly recommend to Francelis that she meet with Dr. Beta and people at the school as soon as possible. Because I think that'll be a major part of this facility.
Yep, that's a good one.
Okay. Michael, thoughts on the number 9?
No, it makes perfect sense. It's fine as written. I think Rachel's suggestion recommendations should probably be incorporated too.
Okay.
She's got
All
her
right.
finger on the pulse of the schools, I think, more than most of us now.
Yes, which is why it's great to have Rachel and Aisha and Laura on the committee. So I think the takeaway is obviously I'm gonna divide this into 2. One is going to be the resolution, the other is going to be the interim recommendations. I'm going to add the statement regarding bike lanes, and with my proposal would be with leave of everybody that perhaps I would run a final draft of this, including that bike language, just with James, because he's going to help me with the bike language. And then
I have
that
the
makes sense?
language. Molly, I have the language. I do.
Oh, perfect.
What it is, it's bicycle and pedestrian connectivity. Bicycle and pedestrian connectivity is what we wish to promote in the town. And this doesn't,
Thanks, James. That is awesome.
this actually is an intermunicipal concept. Bicycle and pedestrian connectivity.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds great. So that would be the added on recommendation. So thank you for getting that language. So I feel like if everybody feels like, and again, I've got notes on this, I feel like I'm in a position to do a final, and we're not really allowed to do things by email. So I feel like I'm in a position to just have a final ready to submit to, speak with Steve Cavey and about getting something on the agenda. And certainly we'll let people know if we get on the agenda and the date. It would be nice if one or more of you would also be able to accompany me. Again, I don't know, this might be September that we're talking about, wouldn't be surprised. So that we can make this presentation and at the same of our recommendation, at the same time, update them what, what's going on with the MAPC process and what that time frame looks like. So does that make sense that we would, again, with these edits in mind, be ready to have somebody make a motion with respect to the interim recommendation?
Yeah, Molly, could you do me a favor and just read me the bicycle one if you're going to present it one more time?
Yes, I think it would be, that means I'm looking at the other wording. So they all start with that the town promote bicycle and pedestrian connectivity in the town.
That's it?
And
Okay.
certainly when I said, if we were before the select board, you could, all like, you can flesh this out and it's about, it's about bike lanes, it's about pedestrian walking, it's about, to me, it's also about bike racks all over the place, which is the other part. If you want somebody to bike to, whether it's the library or town hall or something else, and there probably are bike racks at the library, that you have
Yeah,
the
there
racks
are.
there as well. But I think the simple item itself will be promote bicycle and pedestrian connectivity in the town. And that sort of reaches to various and sundry
Okay.
projects
fine.
that the engineering department might have about changing up, an intersection here or there.
Molly, excuse me, but you could say bicycle and pedestrian connectivity on roadways, pathways, bridges, etc.
Okay,
Okay, because that's implied in pedestrian and bicycle connectivity, but you can say pathways, bridges, roadways,
okay,
bicycle trails. Those are all important things, I think, to add, because we do want to develop our bicycle trails along railroad beds in the town also to enhance bicycle and pedestrian connectivity.
okay. Always good to have the right jargon for what you're talking about. All right, and thanks for fleshing that out, Michael. With that in mind, does anybody want to make a motion with respect to the interim recommendations?
Motion to accept the interim recommendations to be recommended to the select board at an upcoming meeting as adopted this evening.
I'll second the motion.
All right, so we will now vote on the motion that is pending, and we'll start with Aisha.
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So that is unanimous. So thank you so much for all your thoughtful comments and work on this to make this look better and read better and present better, hopefully, as well, to hopefully a receptive, semi-receptive audience. But again, I think, part of our committee is being heard from. So I think this is a great opportunity to check in with them about what we're thinking about and what our hopes and goals are as we move through a process, which is not a terribly fast process. It's good to move it around. All right. So next on my agenda, which I need to misplace, but I'm going to find it here. And I know we've been talking for a long time. We want to be efficient with our time. I just want to go back to MAPC. So MAPC has said that they want from us kind of an agenda of what we want them to talk about and address. So they've outlined in our last meeting, and again, if you look at the EEA grant, they also outlined the potential process. I think they are asking for thoughts as to what we want on the agenda when they come on the 19th, and you don't have to, you could talk about that now, or you could, come with your ideas as to what you would want them to talk about. I think certainly they want to connect with, stakeholders and reach out maybe to people who aren't participating very much. And as anybody who's ever presented a program anywhere will tell you, that's very hard work. but it would be great if we get entree to any type of community organization, or maybe you're not in that community organization, but you have a friend who's in a community organization or a church, or a temple or whatever, that who may want to or be receptive and to participating in some type of community engagement. So those are our thoughts. But I also wanted just to think about setting up meetings, and hopefully meetings where we should get town officials or committee members to come to us, or we'll come to them, just to interact. I know we talked before about the Board of Health, so I'm putting that on my list. Maybe we could make arrangements to have someone from the Board of Health speak to us, because that really goes to a lot of issues, including the adaptation issues and the resilience issues. And I think everybody's thinking about heat this summer and the dangers of excessive heat to people's health. I also wondered, since, Michael, you're a longstanding member of the Conservation Commission, whether we should ask maybe Jerry to come interact with us, or whether you can sort of speak for them with respect to the intersection of the Conservation Commission issues, which clearly is a nature-based solution and climate change, or what are your thoughts about that?
I'm not sure I have the expertise there. I know Jim could certainly help steer me. I mean, I don't know exactly. You'd want to be specific if you wanted Jerry or somebody to come. You'd want to be, pretty specific on what it is you were asking. What do you want to know, or what do you want from them? I'm not sure exactly what the question would be, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not, nothing really definitive, other than, I think if you look at other climate action plan reports, certainly the, nature-based solutions is, protecting your tree canopy. There are more creative things like, which maybe we're not going to be up for, like mini forests or things of that nature. But, clearly I think the town actually does a pretty good job of preserving, and people have voted to preserve
almost
things.
any time we're given the option to obtain a piece of, a parcel and restrict it to conservation use, it's never turned down, unless it's, inordinately expensive. We do have some that are inordinately expensive, or somebody's looking for a quid pro quo. But I mean, Glen Echo is obviously, the big one, and with the Community Preservation Act money, but which is a different issue. But I think conservation does a very good job of, it's surprising to me how many meetings somebody says, so somebody's offering us a few acres here, a few acres there, very often contiguous with, existing land. So, there is that. It's not, I'm in favor of saving, every tree you possibly can, but, almost religious about it. I get nervous sometimes, people start talking about clearing land for solar. It's like, really not the right way to go about it. But, and to be honest, people always talk about, then we want to develop it for recreation. I don't care. I don't really want it developed. I don't care if they put a path or a trail through it. I just like the idea of there being these parcels of land. So like you said, that does translate into, they service tree canopies, carbon sinks, et cetera.
Yep.
So, so there's that. I don't know, how much more than that, there would be to talk about, but you would certainly want to build that into a plan saying that, we appreciate what conservation and, community preservation and other organizations have done in order to, establish and maintain, these type of, potential solutions, or, elements of a solution. But at the same time, something along those lines, and we encourage, we want to make sure that they continue with this, and don't just jump at the chance to develop anything, that we have the chance to preserve or to develop. Sometimes, I know it's an unpopular, way of thinking, but, sometimes preservation is more important than development.
Yes. Understood. So Rachel, sounds like you have to take off for a minute? And I have
I'm listening,
something
but I'm going to
covering.
be taking the minutes from the recording once it's up.
Okay.
So.
All right. So I guess if people, bear in mind other maybe town committee members, or town official, town committee members that we might want to invite to a next meeting. All right, so on the next item, which is just subject matter concentration. And again, I know we had talked about that initially about what are you interested in? One way maybe to slice the pie is for people to say, of these 5 or 6 different general areas, I'll concentrate on one. Maybe I'll read 3 climate action plans, and I'll sort of be more interested in speaking about that issue or that solution. So for people to think about that, and we can circle back on that issue. Like I did for Laura, has talked about public health. I don't know, maybe some of the people with children in school would talk about, focusing on the schools being part of the solution in all sorts of ways. Maybe people are interested in workforce development as it relates to the schools, because the whole green economy does require, a huge workforce pivot to a certain set of skills. So again, something else to circle back to. And if anybody has any ideas of how to sort of, as you say, sort of move forward in a productive way. And that's, maybe an issue we can bring up with MAPC, like what have you seen as what to you is a productive and efficient way for the committee itself, for the work it does to proceed. And maybe we'll get some ideas from them because they've done this over and over again. This is all new for us. All right. If we're ready, so other business, I don't have any new business, I think. I just want to remind people who would like to see Fabulous Film that on Thursday night at the library, starting around 6:30 or 6:45, there's that David Attenborough film called A Life on the Planet, which we hope to have a good turnout to see that movie, which is very profound and very enlightening, and also very powerful about biodiversity loss and climate change really is what that focus is. And hopefully people will be able to see that film as well. So I will just open the door. I don't think there's anybody here from the public, but I never know for sure. Is there anybody here who would like to make public comments as we are nearing the end at the end of our agenda? I think everybody who's wanted to participate has been let in. All right, I'm not hearing anything as far as public comment. Does somebody want to make a motion to close the meeting? And again, our next meeting will be 2 weeks from now with MAPC participating.
Is that going to be in person?
I'd be shocked if it would be in person. I can always ask them, but you know what? If some of us want to be in person,
I mean us.
Oh, I'm happy. Given what I'm happy to be in person, if that's a good. If more than one person is going to be there besides me, I'm happy to make the 19th in person and get the nice hybrid meeting set up. Trish has done a great job with that in the past. It's worked out really well.
Yeah, I know that's always an issue. I don't want to spend an extra 15 to 20 minutes hanging out in a room when we could be moving at home. But I just really, first of all, I am having I'm on the phone tonight because I've been having a lot of connectivity issues. But more than that, I just really prefer meeting in person. I just hate Zoom so much.
I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
But if it's going to be me and you, it doesn't make any sense either. If there's a third or fourth people, just ask people over the course of the week, how do you plan to come?
Okay.
And if they all say virtual, we'll just do it virtually. I mean, but if you get a group together, I always appreciate seeing people myself. So
yeah,
just a thought.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And a motion to adjourn.
I sort of want to do. Okay. Has that been seconded? Okay, so Rachel seconded. All right, so if we go around starting motion to adjourn, seconded, Aisha?
Yes, please.
Okay, Rachel?
Yes.
Yes. James?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And I'd say yes as well. Thank you, everybody.